Hi there, it's Stephanie from Mommy Standard Time, where we save minutes and savor moments. Welcome to my channel. It's chaos around here. Sorry if you hear The Greatest Showman going on, but I just wanted to say hello and tell you what we're doing today. In one of my previous grocery hauls, you saw that I had this giant 10-pound tube of ground beef, and I thought it would be fun to show you what I do with it. I know it can seem overwhelming to have like 10 pounds of ground beef all at once. What do you do with it? Do you just put it in the freezer? You can, but I don't. I like to do a few things to help us save time when it comes to dinner time. It's getting late. It's actually dinner time right now. So I am going to be processing this meat as I'm actually cooking dinner for my family. So it's gonna get a little hectic, and that's why I wanted to just tell you I'm gonna switch over to a voiceover just because life. All right, so follow along for some easy ways to stock your freezer with ground beef meals. So first things first, I need some rice for one of the freezer meals, so I get that going in the rice cooker. Now next, raw meat just really is not my favorite thing in life. So the first thing that I do, I like to go ahead and open the whole tube and separate the amounts that I need for different projects. So in this first bowl, I am putting 4 pounds of the ground beef, and you can't see it, but this bowl is on top of a kitchen scale. But I put 4 pounds in a bowl that has a lid, and then I put it in the fridge, and I'm gonna deal with that later. Actually, much later, probably after dinner. But that's gonna be for meatloaf and meatballs. In this medium bowl, I am putting about 2.5 pounds of ground beef to make hamburger patties for dinner tonight. On a normal freezer meal day, I would flash freeze those patties and store them in the freezer for later, but we need dinner tonight. And then in this small bowl, I am putting just 1 pound of ground beef for a freezer meal casserole that I will be making. And then after giving my hands a good scrub, I am ready to put the remaining ground beef into bags. And what I like to do is flatten the beef once it's in the bag because it helps to save space in the freezer. It also helps defrost more quickly when it's flat like this. And we did label the bags beforehand. I had a little helper help me with that. So now it's time to focus on making these hamburger patties. Full disclosure, the hubby normally does hamburgers. I don't typically do them, but he's not home. So I just season it with onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, and then a little bit of A1. We like a little bit of A1 in our burger patties. And then as I mix it together, I notice that it just doesn't look right. And so I have my helper, since my hands are dirty, I have her help me get the rest of the seasonings in the patties. And since I have absolutely no spatial awareness, I am pre-measuring 1/4 pound balls of ground beef so that I can put them in the patty press. And quick recommendation, you can find patty paper squares for your patty press at the dollar store. 100 sheets. It's a great deal. So now I am using our patty press. I am quite the minimalist when it comes to extra kitchen gadgets, especially like single-use type gadgets. But the burger patty press is a must. I am able to whip out these patties, and again, I have no spatial awareness, so my patties would normally be 5-10 different sizes. So this way they're all uniform and they cook at the same time on the grill. And so what I do with the patty paper, just to save paper, is I press it and then I take off the top wax paper and then plop it on my pile of patties, and then I put the one that I pulled off, as it is now the bottom of the next patty. And that way I'm not using the same piece of wax paper over and over and it gets gross, but I am able to conserve some wax paper that way. So I am very paranoid about cross-contamination, and so I went ahead and finished up what I was doing with the ground beef, and now I want to just get all of the vegetables dealt with. So chopping the vegetables for my casserole, and then also the toppings for the burgers. Since I have the countertops clean, my hands have been scrubbed, and my ring's been scrubbed, I'm ready to deal with vegetables. This casserole that I'm making actually calls for green bell pepper, but I still have some of those red peppers from my grocery haul that were super cheap, so we're going to use a red pepper tonight. Okay, so I'm just curious, are you on team every type of pickle for every type of thing, or are you on team one kind of pickle and then you just cut it how you need it? So I am the latter. I like to have space in my fridge, so I don't really like to have a bunch of different jars of different types of pickles. So, and I actually don't like the hamburger chips. They're floppy, and I like a crisp pickle. So that's probably more information than you needed, but I was just curious how many people are out there that are like me. Hubby has arrived home from work and is working on cooking the burgers, so I get to turn my attention to the casserole. So while the burger and veggies are cooking on the stovetop, I can get the seasonings ready. And maybe this is another weird thing that I do, but every dirty dish, man, it adds up. So for my mise en place, for my seasonings, I just plop them on top of the open can of sauce because I add them all in the same step. And then I will link this recipe below. It's a really good one. So also in this recipe, we use frozen corn and a can of kidney beans. And so I like to thaw the corn while I'm rinsing the beans. I just put them both in the same colander. And another way to save some water. I'm all about conservation around here. So by this point, the ground beef and veggies are looking great. I just need to get it drained. So after I get the meat drained, I return it to the pan and add the beans and the corn, and then also 2 cups of cooked rice. And then after I get that mixed well, I add 2 tablespoons of fresh cilantro and then my seasonings and tomato sauce. That's all mixed. I add it to a cake pan that I have sprayed. And yes, you can use real pans for freezer cooking. You don't need to buy disposable pans. But now it's time to rest my feet and chat with my family. We're going to have a little bit of a dinner break. Okay, so now dinner time is long gone. The dishes are done from dinner, and I am ready to start dealing with the meatballs and the meatloaf. So one thing I love about this recipe is I just use the exact same recipe for both meatballs and meatloaf, so I'm able to just do one big mixture. And so what I'm showing you here is I actually used 2 different types of homemade onion soup mix. I didn't have quite enough of the type that I use for my meatloaf and meatballs, so I used the other type that I typically just use for dips. And then I also add a little bit more salt and pepper. And then I don't love touching raw meat. And so I do my best to mix that in before I have to dive in with my hands. But we all know it's inevitable when you're making meatballs and meatloaf. So after I kind of get as much of this mix and oats incorporated, then I will go ahead and add milk. so that eventually I accept my fate and I get everything blended really well with my hands. And then I just immediately take out my cake pan and create a meatloaf, wrap it up, put it in for the freezer, and then I spray 2 9x13 pans, and I use my ice cream scoop to form the meatballs. Now, some people prefer to freeze their meatballs like this and then cook them, but I actually like to cook mine before putting them in the freezer. It just makes for a really, really fast meal. I'm able to just reheat them in sauce, and yeah, I just specify how many I have in each bag for different meals. Let's see, so I started at 5:30. And it is now 9. I've been done for a little bit, but I've just been waiting for the dishwasher to finish because I have another load to put in. Hubby and the kids got the dishes going after dinner, but there are a lot of dishes in the sink still, and I don't want to hand wash them all. So I'm waiting up for that because I'm waiting for the meatballs to cool off so I can put them in the freezer. Anyway, so really not bad taking the hour off from eating dinner, and overall it took me probably about 2 hours of active time. So I hope that this video served as a little bit of inspiration for you. You don't have to cook full meals to do freezer cooking. It's okay to freeze it how you are going to use it. And so even if you feel like you don't have the bandwidth to go ahead and do like a freezer meal day, do it in bits and pieces. Like that's how I do it. If there's a sale on a particular type of protein, we don't want to eat that all week. And so go ahead and, just process that particular protein. You don't have to do full meals. Sometimes if I get one of these 10-pound things on sale and I'm exhausted and I just don't have time to deal with it, they all go in baggies. And then I just have 10 pounds of ground beef ready to use in the freezer. And that's okay. It's whatever works for you. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to continue to follow along with how I save time at my house and hopefully help you save time at yours, go ahead and subscribe, click the notification bell, and then you will be notified of my upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.